When I went to go see him do Barry Lyndon, he had them run every single Kubrick movie. I was 10.
So you think your dad is still abusing?
Well, I think my dad is still an abusive person who goes, go fix this problem, Griffin. And then Griffin goes, okay, Daddy, I'll get some love. I'll get some love.
Ryan O'Neal is the blueprint for that old-school Hollywood vibe, charming, complicated, and just a little bit messy. Whether you know him as the OG heartthrob from Love Story or Tatum's dad, from the Wild Paper Moon days, he's got that chaotic energy that keeps people talking. Yet behind the scenes, his life was constantly filled with rocky relationships, personal struggles, and a complicated legacy that continues to intrigue fans and critics alike. How did this Golden Globe-winning star navigate the turbulent waters of fame? And what lies beneath the public persona of one of Hollywood's most enduring figures? Let's get into the life of a guy who's seen it all, done it all, and has certainly left a mark on pop culture that's still got people vibing with it today. Childhood and background. Ryan O'Neal was born Charles Patrick Ryan O'Neal on April 20th, 1941, in Los Angeles, and was practically destined for the spotlight from the start. His mother, Patricia O'Neal, was an actress who mostly graced the stage, while his father, Charles O'Neal, had made a name for himself as a novelist and screenwriter. He had a hand in creating some memorable films, including the horror flick The Seventh Victim and the western Return of the Bad Man. So with this kind of pedigree, it was no surprise that Ryan and his younger brother, Kevin O'Neal, who was born in 1945, and also ventured into acting and screenwriting, grew up in a household steeped in Hollywood culture. Ryan's heritage was a mix of Irish, English, and Jewish roots, which gave him a unique identity, especially in terms of Los Angeles. Plus, the family lived in the upscale Coldwater Canyon area, which placed them right in the heart of the entertainment world. Growing up, Ryan was a fiery and energetic kid, and recognizing this, his father decided to build a boxing ring in their backyard with the hopes that the sport would help Ryan focus his intensity. And it worked. Ryan quickly took to boxing and showed a natural talent for it. And by the time he was in high school at University High in Los Angeles, he was already making a name for himself in the ring. He trained hard and became a Golden Gloves boxer, competing in championships between 1956 and 1957. During this time, he racked up an impressive amateur record of 18 wins, 4 losses, and 13 knockouts. It looked like Ryan was on a solid path to becoming a professional athlete. But Hollywood was in his blood, and the pull of the entertainment industry was too strong to ignore. As he grew older, his good looks and natural charisma started to draw attention, and the idea of following in his parents' footsteps became more appealing to him. So by his teenage years, Ryan was seriously considering a career in acting. This decision was further cemented when in the late 1950s the family relocated to Munich, Germany, where Blackie O'Neal was working as a writer on Radio Free Europe broadcasts. While attending Munich American High School, Ryan got his first taste of the industry, career, and rise to fame. After moving to Germany, Ryan's mother noticed his difficulties and decided to pull a few strings to get him a job as a stand-in on the television show Tales of the Vikings, which was being shot locally. This seemingly small opportunity proved to be a turning point in O'Neal's life, because working as an extra and stuntman on the show sparked his interest in acting, which turned out to be a passion that would soon dominate his life. After his stint in Germany, O'Neal returned to the United States with a newfound determination to pursue a career in acting, and his first significant break came in 1960 when he made Seat debut as a guest star on The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. This appearance marked the beginning of a series of guest roles on various popular television shows of the era, and by 1961 O'Neal had made notable appearances on shows like My Three Sons and Leave It to Beaver. Despite his frequent television appearances, O'Neal's career faced an early setback when Universal, the studio he was under contract with, decided to let his contract lapse. And though this could have been a career-ending moment for many young actors, O'Neal persevered. Breakthrough in Empire and Peyton Place. O'Neal's first significant role came in 1962 when he was cast as Tal Garrett in the NBC modern-day Western Empire, which ran for 33 episodes. And although the show was not a massive hit, it provided O'Neal with the experience and exposure he needed to land more substantial roles. When Empire was revived in 1963 as Redigo, O'Neal chose not to reprise his role, which was a decision that seemed risky at the time, but ultimately allowed him to pursue more diverse opportunities. After Empire, O'Neal returned to guest starring roles on shows such as Perry Mason and Wagon Train, but it was in 1964 that O'Neal's career truly took off when he was cast as Rodney Harrington in the primetime serial drama Peyton Place. The show became a massive hit and made national stars of its cast, including O'Neal. Plus, the role of Rodney Harrington turned O'Neal into a household name, and his good looks and on-screen charisma made him one of the most popular actors of the time. As Peyton Place gained attention, O'Neal, like many of his co-stars, started receiving offers to star in films. O'Neal began exploring opportunities in the film industry, and during his time on Peyton Place, he appeared in a pilot for a potential series called European Eye, and even signed a recording contract with ABC. The leap to the big screen. O'Neal's first major role in a feature film came in 1969 when he starred in The Pat Bounce, which was an adaptation of Elmore Leonard's novel. Although the film wasn't a massive success, it was a critical step in O'Neal's transition from television to film. In the same year, he also appeared in a TV version of Under the Yum Yum Tree. However, it was 1970 that truly catapulted O'Neill to stardom as he was cast as Oliver Barrett for In Love Story, which was a romantic drama written by Eric Siegel based on his novel. It was an enormous success and quickly became a box office phenomenon. The film not only made O'Neill a star, but also earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor and a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama. But despite the film's success, O'Neill later expressed bitterness over not receiving a percentage of the profits, unlike his co-star, Ali MacGraw. Career decline and attempts at reinvention. Despite his earlier successes, O'Neill's career began to stall in the 1980s. Many of his films from this period were forgettable and his star power began to wane, but one notable exception was Irreconcilable Differences, in which O'Neill played a Hollywood director and father, coping with divorce. The film was a modest box office hit and O'Neill's performance was well received. In 1991, O'Neill made a return to television with the short-lived CBS sitcom Good Sports, where he co-starred with his longtime lover Farrah Fawcett. Although the series was not a success, it marked a significant moment in O'Neill's career as it allowed him to work closely with Fawcett. Throughout the 1990s, O'Neill continued to appear in various television and film roles, often portraying wealthy, pinstripe-clad business types. Love Life and Marriages. Ryan O'Neal, the Hollywood heartthrob known for his boyish good looks and charming personality, has always been as famous for his tumultuous love life as he has been for his acting career. The actor's wild temper and playboy lifestyle often overshadowed his on-screen successes, but what truly defined O'Neal in the public eye were the women who shared his life. From marriages to high-profile romances, his relationships were as dramatic as any Hollywood screenplay. So let's take a stroll down memory lane and explore the most significant relationships in Ryan O'Neal's life. Joanna Moore, the first love. Ryan O'Neal's first walk down the aisle was with actress Joanna Moore in 1963. Joanna was already a recognized star with roles in films like Monster on the Campus and Walk on the Wild Side, and their relationship began with a whirlwind romance that quickly led to marriage and a growing family. The couple welcomed their first child, Tatum O'Neal, in 1963. The same year they tied the knot, and a year later they expanded their family with the birth of their son Griffin. Despite the initial love and happiness, their marriage was short-lived, and by 1967, O'Neal and Moore had called it quits. Although their relationship didn't last, it left a lasting legacy in Hollywood, particularly through their daughter, Tatum, who went on to become the youngest person ever to win an Academy Award. Leigh Taylor Young, the second shot at marriage. Barely out of his first marriage, O'Neal didn't waste much time before he found love again, but this time with actress Leigh Taylor Young. The couple met in 1967. The same year his divorce from Joanna Moore was finalized, and they quickly tied the knot. Leigh was an actress on the rise, and their marriage seemed to be a perfect Hollywood match, setting the record of O'Neal's longest one by lasting a total of 7 years, until their divorce in Tiller Toes in '74. During this time they welcomed a son, Patrick O'Neal, born in 1967. Despite their eventual separation, Leigh and Ryan maintained a cordial relationship, with Leigh later reflecting on their marriage as a significant chapter in both their lives. Farrah Fawcett, the love of his life. If there was one relationship that truly defined Ryan O'Neal's life, it was his decades-long, on-and-off romance with Charlie's Angels star Farrah Fawcett. The pair first became involved in 1979, which was a few years after O'Neal split from Leigh Taylor Young. Their relationship began under somewhat scandalous circumstances while Farrah was still married to O'Neal's friend, Lee Majors, when they first got together, and ironically O'Neal had been asked by Majors to keep Farrah company while he was away filming. But of course, what started as a friendly favor quickly turned into a full-blown love affair. Farrah and Ryan were the epitome of a Hollywood power couple, and were often dubbed as the real-life Ken and Barbie. They were frequently seen together at red carpet events, showcasing their affection for one another. However, their relationship was far from smooth sailing, and they were known for their passionate and sometimes explosive arguments. Ryan once shared in his memoir a particularly intense fight that took place in front of their then 6-year-old son, Redmond, highlighting the volatile nature of their love. On top of it all, infidelity also plagued their relationship when in 1997 Farrah discovered Ryan in bed with another actress, Leslie Ann Stefanson. Despite the betrayal, Farrah wasn't angry but deeply hurt, and the couple split shortly after, but eventually reconciled in 2001 when O'Neal was diagnosed with leukemia. Farrah supported him through his illness and their love was rekindled. But tragically, their love story had a heartbreaking end, as in 2006 Farrah was diagnosed with anal cancer and O'Neal took on the role of caretaker by staying by her side through her final days. Just before she passed away in 2009, O'Neal proposed to Farrah, and she accepted, though they never had the chance to marry. O'Neal remained devoted to her until the very end and used to sleep at her bedside in the hospital, and even after her death he often spoke of his undying love for her while admitting that he never truly got over her passing. Other high-profile romances. While Farrah Fawcett was undoubtedly the love of Ryan O'Neal's life, she wasn't the only famous woman to be linked to the actor. In 1970, O'Neal had a brief fling with Barbra Streisand after they met at a dinner party, and even though they complemented each other quite well, the romance fizzled out quickly as Streisand later recalled that she was too serious for the fun-loving O'Neal. In the 1970s, O'Neill also had a brief but tumultuous relationship with Angelica Huston, who later claimed that O'Neill had physically assaulted her at a party and despite their short-lived romance. The incident left a lasting impact on Huston. Nicaraguan-born actress Bianca Jagger, who was then married to Rolling Stones frontman Mick Jagger, also had an off-and-on affair with O'Neill in the 70s, but the affair was eventually discovered, which added even more drama to O'Neill's already eventful love life. Melanie Griffith also found herself entangled with O'Neill during the 1970s. The pair dated briefly, and Griffith later admitted that she had flings with several of Hollywood's hottest bachelors at the time, including O'Neill, Warren Beatty, and Jack Nicholson. Children. Behind the glitz and glamour, O'Neill's life has been marked by a series of tumultuous relationships, not only with his romantic partners but also with his children. Let's delve into the lives of Ryan O'Neill's children, Tatum, Griffin, Patrick, and Redmond, and explore the bittersweet story of their relationships with their father. Tatum O'Neill. Tatum O'Neill was Ryan's first child and was born on November 5, 1963. To O'Neill and his first wife, Joanna Moore. Tatum's early years were spent under the shadow of her parents' rocky marriage, which ended in separation in 1966 and a subsequent divorce in 1967, but despite the challenges, Tatum and Ryan went on to share a bond that brought them both fame and fortune. In 1974, at just 10 years old, Tatum starred alongside her father in Paper Moon, which was a film set during the Great Depression about a con artist and a young girl. Tatum's performance was nothing short of extraordinary, and she became the youngest person ever to win an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, while Ryan received a nomination. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, and they went on to star in 2 more films together, which were Nickelodeon and Circle of Two. However, their relationship didn't remain as golden as their Hollywood accolades, and as Tatum grew older, things drove a wedge between her and her father. By the 2010s, the two had been estranged for nearly 3 decades, and in an attempt to mend their fractured relationship, they starred in the own reality series Ryan and Tatum, The O'Neills, in 2011. But the reconciliation was short-lived. Tatum married tennis legend John McEnroe in 1986 and had 3 children named Sean, Kevin, and Emily. Griffin O'Neill. Griffin O'Neill, born on October 28, 1964, was the second child of Ryan O'Neill and Joanna Moore, and like his sister, Griffin also followed in his parents' footsteps and pursued a career in acting. He appeared in films such as April Fool's Day, Hadley's Rebellion, The Wraith, and The Escape Artist. Unfortunately, his acting career never reached the heights of his sister's, and his life became increasingly turbulent. Griffin was open about his struggles with substance abuse, which was a battle that began alarmingly early, as he revealed that he was rolling joints for his father by the age of school, which set the stage for his lifelong addiction issues. His relationship with Ryan was strained, to say the least. Griffin claimed that his father punched his teeth out when he was just 16, and this was an incident that epitomized the violence and the dysfunction that loomed over their relationship. The tension between father and son reached a dangerous peak in 2007 when Ryan was arrested for allegedly assaulting Griffin with a firearm. Griffin later recounted how his father had shot at him when he tried to help his half-brother Redmond with his addiction. As of the most recent reports, Griffin lives near the Mexican border, far removed from the Hollywood spotlight. Patrick O'Neill. Patrick O'Neill, born in 1967 to Ryan and his second wife Leigh Taylor Young, took a different path than his siblings. Although he also pursued acting and appeared in films such as Wild Hogs, Die Hard 2, Bliss, and The Right Temptation, Patrick eventually shifted his focus to sports broadcasting, and today he is a well-known sportscaster who regularly reports from the sidelines of major games. Patrick shares 2 daughters with his ex-partner Rebecca De Mornay and is currently married to Summer Imai, but unlike his siblings, Patrick maintained a close relationship with his father, and in April he celebrated Ryan's 82nd birthday with a heartfelt Instagram post, and in July, Ryan also proudly shared one of Patrick's articles and expressed his admiration for his son. When Ryan O'Neill passed away, it was Patrick who confirmed the news to the world and shared a series of emotional posts on Instagram in which he described his father as the best, most loving, and supportive dad. Redmond James Fawcett O'Neill. Redmond O'Neill. Born in 1985 to Ryan O'Neill and the late actress Farrah Fawcett, inherited his father's struggles with addiction, and his life has been marked by a series of legal troubles and Tuptumab. In 2008, both Ryan and Redmond were charged with methamphetamine possession after a probation search of Ryan's Malibu home. Ryan later claimed that Redmond was to blame for the incident and revealed that his son had been in and out of 13 rehab facilities by 2009. Redmond's troubles didn't end there, as he has been involved in numerous alleged crimes over the years, all leading to jail time and ongoing struggles with addiction. Little is known about his current situation, but his story serves as a somber reminder of the challenges that have plagued the O'Neill family. Daughter in drama Tatum O'Neill. We told you about Tatum being Ryan's daughter and her career, but here is what Tatum actually revealed about Ryan at the age of 41 when she published her book A Paper Life. Tatum O'Neill, once the youngest actress to ever win an Academy Award, has lived a life filled with both extraordinary highs and devastating lows. In 2004, at the age of 41, she released a tell-all autobiography titled A Paper Life, which unveiled the dark side of her childhood and her tumultuous relationship with her father, Ryan O'Neill. Through her memoir and subsequent interviews, Tatum bravely shared the pain and abuse she endured and shed light on the toxic environment she grew up in. Born to actors Ryan O'Neill and Joanna Moore, Tatum's life seemed destined for stardom from the start, but behind the scenes her childhood was anything but glamorous. Her parents' marriage was rocky and ended in divorce when Tatum was just a toddler and after the separation. Tatum and her younger brother Griffin lived with their mother Joanna, who struggled with addiction. When Tatum was around 8 years old, her father gained custody of her and Griffin, and this marked the beginning of an intense and troubled relationship between Tatum and Ryan. Although Ryan was a Hollywood star who was known for his roles in major films, his parenting left much to be desired. Tatum has revealed her childhood to be chaotic and lonely, with her father often emotionally unavailable or outright abusive. Tatum's big break came when she was just 10 years old and starred alongside her father in A Father. Her portrayal of Addie Loggins, who was a sharp-tongued con artist, won her critical acclaim and made her the youngest person ever to win an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. While this achievement should have been a cause for celebration, it instead deepened the rift between Tatum and Ryan. According to Tatum, her father was jealous of her success, and in her autobiography, she wrote about how the film's success sort of destroyed us. She claimed that while Ryan played the role of a doting father in public, privately, he resented her for overshadowing him, and this jealousy manifested in emotional as well as physical abuse, all while contributing to the growing tension between them. In a 2004 interview with NBC News, Tatum recounted one particularly harrowing incident. When asked if her father had been physically abusive towards her after learning about her Oscar nomination, Tatum confirmed it, and stated that Ryan had an abusive streak, and described how Ryan would hit her sometimes with a backhand or by throwing her out of the car. This was not an isolated incident, but part of a pattern of abusive behavior that left Tatum feeling unloved and insecure. Tatum wrote in her book how her childhood was far from ordinary. She was forced to grow up quickly in an environment that exposed her to the darker sides of Hollywood, and she often found herself surrounded by adults who were more interested in partying than parenting. In the same NBC News interview, she spoke about an assault she endured at the age of 6, which she attributed to her parents' negligence, saying, "When parents are off getting drunk or getting high or taking pills in another room and leaving little children with, people who don't watch their kids, this is what happens." Living with her father in Malibu, Tatum found herself in an environment that was more stable than the one she had with her mother, but it was still far from ideal. Ryan continued his lifestyle of bringing women home even with his children present, and this often left Tatum feeling neglected and terrified at night. She recalled how there was never any privacy. You could always hear him. Tatum's maturity was forced upon her at a young age, and she struggled with the lack of a normal childhood. One of her closest friends during this time was actress Melanie Griffith, who was 6 years older than Tatum, and their friendship began when she was just 12 and Melanie was 18, but it took a dark turn when Tatum discovered Griffith in intimate position with her father, and this betrayal only added to the trauma Tatum was already experiencing. Plus, her early exposure to drugs and alcohol also played a significant role in shaping her life, as she had access to substances from a young age, and by her teenage years she was already struggling with addiction. Tatum has often spoken about how she used drugs and alcohol as a way to cope with the pain and confusion of her relationship with her father. Then, as Tatum grew older, her relationship with Ryan became increasingly strained, and the two often aired their grievances publicly, with Tatum accusing Ryan of neglect, abuse, and exposing her to the harmful Hollywood lifestyle. Ryan, on the other hand, acknowledged his shortcomings as a father, but also expressed frustration with Tatum and often blamed her for their estrangement. In A Paper Life, Tatum recounted how Ryan's abusive behavior extended to her brother Griffin as well, and she wrote that, "My father terrorized me, but Griffin was his real whipping boy." She described how Griffin was always covered in bruises, which he would explain away with implausible stories about falling downstairs. But obviously, Tatum's accusations against her father were met with denial from Ryan, and in an interview during his run on Alicia Silverstone's TV show Mismatch, he dismissed Tatum's claims and even went so far as to say that Silverstone was the daughter he wished he had had. This public dismissal only deepened the wounds between father and daughter. Despite the years of pain and estrangement, Tatum and Ryan made several attempts to reconcile, and in 2011 they even starred in the reality TV show Ryan and Tatum, The O'Neills, which chronicled their efforts to repair their fractured relationship. The show highlighted the deep-seated issues that remained unresolved between them, and while there were moments of tenderness and understanding, the show ultimately ended without a clear resolution, leaving their relationship in a state of limbo. But in the years that followed, there were occasional reports of reconciliation, and in 2020 finally a heartwarming photograph was posted on Instagram by Tatum's son Sean McEnroe, showing how the family was together for the first time in 17 years. It was captioned "After so many years of hardship," and included the father-daughter duo as well as all of Tatum's children. All in all, Tatum's relationship with her father was one of Hollywood's most complicated and tragic father-daughter stories. Through her memoir and public interviews, she bravely shared the pain and the abuse she endured and shed light on the toxic environment she grew up in. Health and death. Unfortunately, Ryan O'Neal, the Hollywood legend, passed away on December 8, 2023, at the age of 83. His son Patrick O'Neal confirmed the news in a heartfelt social media post and shared that, "My dad passed away peacefully today with his loving team by his side, supporting him and loving him as he would us. My father Ryan O'Neal has always been my hero. I looked up to him, and he was always bigger than life." O'Neal's final years were marked by health struggles that began in 2001 when he was diagnosed with chronic myelogenous leukemia (CML). Despite the challenges, he showed immense strength and was a constant presence at Farrah Fawcett's side during her own battle with cancer. Then in April 2012, he also revealed that he had been diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer and later clarified that it was stage 2. His health continued to decline, and on December 8, 2023, he succumbed to congestive heart failure with cardiomyopathy listed as a contributing factor and was laid to rest beside Farrah Fawcett at Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park and Mortuary. Tatum O'Neal. Ryan's daughter also expressed her grief and gratitude in a statement to People magazine stating, "He meant the world to me. I loved him very much and knew he loved me too. I'll miss him forever and I feel very lucky that we ended on such good terms," indicating how Ryan O'Neal's legacy lives on through his work, his children, and the indelible mark he left on Hollywood and those who knew him.